Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki. Hare Krishna. So we are proceeding with the second days of discussion on the pastimes of Lord Shri Ram. Yesterday we heard about how Ram was subjected by Mother Kaikeyi to go to the forest, and he prepares to leave. So after visiting Kaushalya, Lord Ram visits the chambers of Sita. Sita and Ram had fasted for the night in their own room, because before the beginning of any auspicious ceremony, fasting is recommended. Like if parents are doing some auspicious ceremony for the children, the parents also undergo the fasting. So that applies for every single ceremony, including Vivaha also. I don't know how to do it these days, but there's fasting here for any yajna. So Rajya Abhishek is also kind of a yajna, because the king is appointed as the messenger of the Lord. The king is supposed to be there, and when he is appointed on behalf of the Lord he will rule the kingdom. Because the Lord is the ultimate ruler and the controller. The king is just simply temporary. There have been millions of kings in the past who have come before him, and millions will come after him. So with that understanding he rules the kingdom, that I am just here for some time, and meanwhile I am there. Why should I execute my selfish interest? Because anyways I am not going to be there for long. So might as well execute the interest of the person who is going to prevail for most of the time. It was a simple common sense. It did not require a great amount of devotion to understand this. So, Lord Ram had fasted, even Sita had fasted. So when Ram approached Sita, she was also dressed very nicely, and she was also, seeing Ram, she smiled. And she said, "My dear Lord, why do you look so, you don't look so charming today. You look as if very much in fatigue. Your shoulders are no longer having that, you don't have that gait of an elephant which you used to have. The way your shoulder appears to have sunk. Your head appears to have sunk in your body. What is wrong? Have you not taken enough rest?" So Lord Ram tells Mother Sita, says, "My dear Sita, I am on my way to the forest, on the instructions of the king Dashrath. He is bound by Mother Kaikeyi to fulfill 2 boons, which she has asked in an untimely fashion. So I am on my way to the forest, and I have just come to inform you this. I have visited Mother Kaushalya." And having said this, Sita is in great shock, because she is already preparing herself for Ram's Rajya. So Ram, before even Sita gives her response, he starts instructing Sita. He is in no mood to now talk to anyone. He has finished his talk and he is just in the mood of getting out. So he tells Sita that now that you should be here, remember one thing. that I am out of this kingdom to fulfill the desire of my father. And it is also the desire of Dashrath, in whichever way, in the form of an obligation also, that Bharat should be the king. So if Bharat is the king, make sure that you don't praise me in front of Bharat. And Ram gives a very political explanation. He says eventually, when Bharat becomes the king, although people may not accept him or people may accept him, but because he will be in the position of power, and being the king, he is not going to be a king of a poor land. He is the king of Ayodhya, which was the capital of the world at that time, and a very, very rich place. So Ram says, those people who are in great amount of wealth, fortune and power, these people cannot appreciate when somebody else is glorified in front of them. That is the nature of power and fortune. Fortune here represents great amount of wealth. So, your duty is only to take care of Dashrath and all the other mothers. I request you to take care not only of Kaushalya but also Kaikeyi and Sunita. They are all endowed with good qualities, although Kaikeyi has asked me to go. And you should not bear in your heart any offense towards Bharat, because Bharat is not at all at fault in this. And remember again, he is going to be the king. And when he is in the position of the king, although he is virtuous, the position has a nature of its own. So there is something called an ideology and there is something called a channel. For example, because Ram is analyzing a political emotion in this particular thing, therefore I am just explaining this. An ideology, say for example, every party has an ideology. In India we have many parties. So each party has an ideology. So BJP will say our ideology is this, Congress will say our ideology is this, some other party will say our ideology is this. To execute that ideology, they set up an infrastructure or a channel or an organization. So the ideology belongs to one man or a group of individuals. So let us make a Hindu Rashtra. That's an ideology. Somebody says let us make a secular Rashtra. Somebody says let us make a corruption-free government. Somebody says anything, whatever, like that. The idea. So to set up an ideology, you require a channel. For example, Prabhupada had a desire to create a facility where devotees should come together, hear Krishna Katha, sing the glories of the Lord. So to actually do that, you may have a desire, you may have an ideology, but you require a system. So you set up an organization. Now organization is nothing but a channel to represent an ideology. Please kindly understand this very carefully, because then only you will understand why Ramayan and Mahabharata certain things happen in certain ways. It's not just family affair. So kingdom is an ideology. A kingdom is a channel. It's a channel to run an ideology. But every channel also has its own nature. Like an ideology is part of a nature of a person or a desire. I wish that my country should run in such a way. My kingdom should run in such a way. So that's an emotion. It's a nature of a person who is very righteous, who desires that let me run it in a very good way. So to run it in a good way, I set up a channel. So the channel, although set up for the ideology, the channel also has its own nature. Although the channel is not a person, it's just a structure, but it has its own nature. What is that? For example, a person has very noble characteristics and he sets up a political party. But to run that political party, now he has to do so many things just to gather funds. Now to run this show, I need some funds. Now funds may not come for example, Prabhupada set up ISKCON. Funds did not come from people like Prabhupada. Funds came from people who were not like Prabhupada. Some were drunkards, some were thieves, some were druggists, somewhere gangers. So the channel has its own nature. Once you set up a channel, now the channel has to run. Once the organization is set up, you require some funds. So for funding, there is a certain group of people who are funding. You have to take care of that. Then, for the channel to exist, you need some political contact or some affiliation so that channel should run. So you have that thing also. You have to have relationships at that level. Then, for the whole thing to run, you need devotees who should have good relation amongst each other. And there will be ground level realities that this devotee can work with this devotee, or he cannot work, or he is aggressive, he is passive, he is lazy, he is super hyperactive, whatever. So many characteristics. So when there is a balance, it balances all these things together, then only the channel will run. Now this channel has developed a nature of its own. The organization or a political party or a channel, it has developed a nature. Because for it to exist, it requires so many things. It cannot simply exist on the ideology of the person who has set up. I hope you understand now the difference between an ideology and a channel. So Ram is telling this to Sita, that once Bharat comes in power, that position will make him do certain things and take certain decisions. And therefore I am telling you, unnecessarily don't glorify me in front of him or don't even mention my name. Because although he may love me, but that position may influence him. Because that position has its own nature. It's a political position, the position of power. And Ram says that it has been observed in the history that the rulers, they have forsaken their own children or their own parents for the sake of position. And this we saw in the case of Kamsa. He imprisoned his own father Ugrasen. This we hear in Akbar, Shah Jahan, everyone, Mughal, Muslim, and we also hear such kind of thing in the recent political scenario of India, where one of the ex-prime ministers, that speculation is very popular in India, that she could have her son killed. So these are not something which is unthinkable or unimaginable. This has happened in the past. Ram is quoting this to Sita. This position has its own nature and it can influence a person anyhow. And I am not here. My mothers, all our mothers are under your care. My father is already forsaken by taking, and I am not here now. So a great responsibility lies upon him. So take care of this thing. Don't offend Bharat in any case, because he is going to be a ruler. And for that matter, don't ever offend anyone else. So Sita is shocked. She is thinking, how come my master, the Lord of my heart has already taken this decision that I am going to be here and I am going to serve everyone and I am going to do so many things, and he is just simply going to walk out. So Sita, she cries, she falls at the feet of Lord Ram and says, my dear master, for a wife there is only one true fortune. It's the fortune that she shares with the husband. How can somebody be a wife when she has a fortune independent of the husband or independent of the family? And for the wife, there is no greater a companion, even not her own sons, not her own daughters, not her own parents. Once a woman is married, her primary contact, the primary opulence, the primary wealth, the primary fortune or misfortune, whatever, it is all considered fortune. As long as the husband is alive, it's the husband. So how is it possible that I will actually not be with you in your time of difficulty? And therefore I have decided that I will come to the forest. Because my only shelter, the only shelter for a woman, as long as she is alive and the husband is alive, is the husband. Not the sons are not the shelter for the woman. The mother is not the shelter. The brother is not the shelter. Not even one's own body is the shelter for a woman. As long as the husband is alive, the husband is the only true shelter. So she says, my dear Lord, when you walk in the forest, the path may be covered with so many stones and thorns. So I will walk ahead of you and I will crush those stones and thorns with my feet. Now the forest is my paternal home. मतलब जंगल ही मेरा ससुराल है. I have already assumed that. And I cannot be diverted from this purpose. I will live on fruits and roots, and I will never ever complain to you about anything. You will not have any sense of annoyance because of me. मेरे वजह से आप कभी गुस्सा नहीं होंगे. बहुत बड़ी बात है. गुस्सा भी नहीं होंगे. मैं इस तरह से आपके साथ रहूंगी. For me, hundreds and thousands of years of being with you even in the forest is better than actually being in heaven. Ram is overwhelmed. Sita is already crying. So Ram holds Mother Sita and tries to convince her otherwise. He thinks that let me scare Sita. Because Sita has grown up in such a secure environment with Janak Maharaj. She has never gone out of the kingdom. So Ram says, do you know what a forest represents? It represents perpetual misery. It's always dense with too many trees. There is no light which comes even in the daytime. There is darkness. The light which comes through the trees appears very horror. There are so many dangers and you are handicapped at every step because there is no proper road. If you want to sit, there is no proper place to sit. If you want to sleep, there is no proper place to sleep. There is no availability of anything. For every little thing you have to make an endeavor. There are streams in the day which appear okay, but in the night they sound very horrible. Ram tells this to Sita. He says there are roads of lions. The wild beasts, they sometimes attack people from all sides. All these things keep happening and you have to be constantly on guard. That is a stress. In the river, if you go to take a bath or drink water, the river is infested with crocodiles and alligators. The trees which have creepers and flowers, sometimes they appear beautiful, but when you try to pluck them, they are all covered with thorns. So there is nothing which you are getting in the kingdom which you think that you will be able to get anything there. Anything that appears good there, that is also dangerous, like a river. Because Ayodhya, although it was just near the banks of Ganga, but where the kings access the river banks, those banks are very safe. So he says, whatever appears good, when you go in the forest, it doesn't appear good. When you have to sleep, you will be sleeping on a bed of leaves. The food you will eat is nothing but the fruits that have fallen from the tall tree. Because you literally cannot climb. So जो गिरा है वही खा सकते हो. And the bark of the tree are your only clothes. The wind blows furiously. And there are serpents everywhere. And the serpents can attack any time. Apart from these, there are scorpions, there are moths, there are different kinds of insects which will bite you throughout the day and night. And it is just perpetual suffering. So it is my suggestion that you simply remain here and serve. So Mother Sita, she looks at Ram and her looks are defeating the whole conversation which Ram has made. And she just smiles and tells, my dear Lord, when you will walk in the jungle, just by your walk, the elephant, the tiger, the crocodile, the lion will get scared. What fear do I have? You have the walk of an elephant, you have the walk of a lion. I have nothing to fear. Moreover, let me tell you, when I was very young in the kingdom of Janak, one sadhvi had come in their place, and she had actually predicted that Sita, she had made a prophecy that Sita will have to have spent some years of her life in the forest. So Sita tells, I remember the prophecy. I had never taken it seriously, but now I hear this, I understand that I must go to this forest. And therefore it is only better that I should be with you. And if you still don't take me, I will take poison, or I will offer myself to fire, or I will offer myself to the water and I will claim myself. So Ram is confused. But still Ram is not convinced. And Ram shows no consideration whatsoever to Sita. So Sita tells in a very different tone, my father did not know when he was getting me married to you that he is getting me married to actually a woman who is just like a man, who is so scared to take care of his wife. Why are you so scared to take care of me if I can come to the point? Why cannot you take care of me? Without you I will drink poison, but I will not stay with your enemies here. I cannot endure 1 hour without you. How will I survive for 14 years? And randomly she quotes these emotions, and at the same time she blames Ram in a way that आप कायर हो गए कि मेरी रक्षा नहीं कर सकते. जंगल का पूरा भय बता के आप बोल रहे मैं रक्षा नहीं कर सकता, आप यहीं रहो. इस तरह से ऐसा हो और फिर जोर जोर से रोने लगे. तो राम, so to cut short, Ram takes hold of Mother Sita and says, my dear Sita, you can accompany me. And he says, I am simply following my father's command. I want you to know. I will read those verses. Very beautiful words. Ram again and again he tells that I am not going to the forest out of frustration or out of some kind of force. My desire to go in the forest is just because it is the desire of my father, to fulfill that desire. And he quotes a very, very beautiful verse which Valmiki speaks. एषा धर्मस्य शुश्रूणि पितृमातृश्च वश्यता आज्ञां च अहं व्यतिक्रम्य नाहं जीवितम् उमुत्सहे अस्वाधीनं कथं देवं प्रकारैर्भिर्दध्यते स्वाधीनं समतिक्रम्य मातरं पितरं गुरुं. Ram says, one cannot actually attain any fruit of spirituality by disregarding the will of one's own mother, father or guru. There cannot be anything spiritual one can get. Even if one has dedicated his life worshipping his own worshipable deity, still that person will not get any benefit. The whole purpose of worshipping one's own Kula Devi or worshipable deity is so that you get spiritual benefit. He said, you can never get as much spiritual benefit as much you can get simply by following the desire of the will of the father, mother or the guru. Now that does not mean that if the father, mother or guru, guru at least is clear cut that he may be in spiritual. But father and mother, if they are on the wrong path and they don't wish that you take to the right path, so that is not the invention here. But the whole invention is, you cannot neglect or override them just because you want to practice some kind of religious or spiritual discipline. That will never fructify. And Ram is telling the best way to actually attain great amount of success is just serve them nicely. न सत्यम दानमानो वा यज्ञो वा अपि आपत्त दक्षिणः तथा बलकारः सीते यथा सेवा पितुर्माता. So Ram tells, by telling truthfulness you cannot escape that much piety. By giving great amount of charity you cannot attain that much piety. By honoring great sages or saintly people you cannot attain that much piety as much as you can attain simply by serving your mother or father. And therefore, in a way, service to one's father and mother is believed to be, Ram is saying, the best way to secure happiness in eternity. So, unfortunately, sometimes in the process of spirituality we see some people who think that in the mode of artificial transcendence which they acquire, they think that if I will crush the emotions of my dependents or those who are dependent on me, then I will break through the bondage and then I can actually progress in spirituality. That really doesn't happen. One has to actually take blessings. And even if one disregards, he cannot neglect, it cannot be a disregard out of neglect. ये हो सकता है कि वो जिंदगी बना रहे, लेकिन माँ बाप की सेवा का उल्लंघन नहीं होना चाहिए. वो अगर होता है so that is going to defeat your spirituality sooner or later. It will never fructify. It's just a matter of time. Therefore, we see the classic two examples, Lord Chaitanya and Shankaracharya, who were both glorified by Srila Prabhupada in different places. Both of them did not, they actually gave up their own wives and mother at a certain, Shankaracharya left at the age of 8 and Mahaprabhu left at 24. But they had both insisted. Mahaprabhu emotionally in a way, he told mother that okay, after taking sannyas, he did not take permission for sannyas, but after taking sannyas he came back and said, if you want I will give up the sannyas. But just for the sake of mother, he stayed at JagannathPriya, not neglecting mother. He could have stayed at Vrindavan, which was his actual, he always in the mood of Radharani. But he stayed at JagannathPriya so that he could keep meeting his mother quite often and mother could meet him so that there can be constant coming in. And Shankaracharya also told his mother that I don't want to get married. And he did this whole pastime of the couple. So he made the mother give blessing. So like that, Ram is putting a great emphasis on this principle. So he is reminding Sita that this is the principle with which I am actually going to the forest. Not out of the scare of caking, not out of frustration, not out of the insecurity, nothing at all. It is just that I want to take this opportunity to perfect my life by doing this service. So now, quickly prepare yourself for departure. Sita is very happy. So it is explained meanwhile the word spread in Ayodhya. Their plan was not to actually inform everyone. But early morning these things started happening. And when there is a festive mood going on and if one or two people appear very grave, that means something really grave has happened because it stands as a contrast. कि बड़े फेस्टिवल के समय कुछ एक जन का चेहरा अगर दुखी दिखा मतलब कुछ बड़ा गंभीर कोई गंभीर परिस्थिति ही हो गई. I think you can keep the door open, no problem. So it stands as a contrast. Seeing Sumantra in distress, seeing Dashrath in distress. So the queens, the gatekeepers, the Dwarpas, that word spread very fast. The maids are actually something is wrong, and that word spread that Ram is going to be sent out. Kaikeyi has done this. Within few hours, the whole of Ayodhya knew that Ram is going to be banished. And it is explained that they knew that now Ram is going to go, so all of them prepared. And they decided that we all will leave Ayodhya now, if Ram is going to go. So So it is explained, after speaking to Sita, Ram told Sita, now let us go and take our final blessing from Dasharath before we depart. So when Ram comes out from his chamber, some of the people who could see through their home, they saw, and the servants were there, they saw Ram coming out with Sita, and they were dressed in ordinary clothes. They had still the robes of the king and the prince and princess, but still it was simple, it was not gorgeous, like a preparation for next day. It was ordinary. So they got a feeling that now the time has come. So that was creating a great sense of distress. Ram makes Sumantra. Ram tells Sita that before going, let us all distribute our wealth. So the entire wealth which was under Ram's disposition, he and Sita together distributed to all the maids and the brahmanas and the servants, and all the wealth was distributed. At a certain time, Sita was momentarily hesitating to give away the wealth. But Ram said, what is the use of wealth now if you have to go to the forest? And everything is given away. So although Sita had mentally prepared herself to go to the forest, she did not have that sense of that realization what it means to go to the forest. कभी कभी हम ऐसे कुछ वचन ले लेते हैं कि मैं जिंदगी भर 16 माला करूंगा, और कुछ साल के बाद पता चलता है ये तो लाइफ लॉन्ग करना है, मतलब 15 साल के बाद पता चलता है मैंने वहां लिया था, बार बार याद दिलाना पड़ता है उससे में क्या हो गया था मुझे उस समय, मैंने क्यों कदम उठाली। और अब जब पता चल रहा है कि जीबीसी ये भी सोच रहा है कि शायद 4 माला कर देंगे, तो ऐसा लगता है मेरे तो 16 माला के क्यों आ गया, शायद 10 साल रुक जाता तो 4 माला में हो जाता था। So like that, Sita did not have that sense of what's going to happen. So suddenly when both of them, they distribute all the wealth, she has some sense of discomfort, but she happily distributes. Ram tells Sumantra, who is the minister and also the charioteer, he tells that he is a minister, but later he becomes a charioteer. Please tell Dasharath that we are coming. The moment Sumantra enters, Dasharath is in deep anxiety, because he has that feeling that time has come now, that Ram is coming. So Dasharath breaks down in tears just seeing Sumantra, and Sumantra tells that Ram is coming to take blessings from him. So Dasharath shouts loudly and tells Sumantra, I want all my wives to be present right now when I am seeing Ram. So Sumantra informs all wives. So the 3 principal wives and additionally 350 wives, they all come. So last year we had discussed how Dasharath had 350 wives. So all of them appear. And then Ram and Sita are walking towards the room. The moment Ram enters, Dasharath sees Ram, and Dasharath tries to run towards Ram, and within a few steps he collapses, and it is explained just like an elephant would fall down. With that gravity, Dasharath fell. He could not even raise himself. That was the anxiety which he had. And he fell down unconscious. So Ram held him, and after some time Dasharath came in consciousness and he was still crying. The moment he saw Ram, he was crying. Sumantra could not see this anxiety. Kaushalya was crying, Dasharath is crying, all the 350 queens are crying. Ram is expressing no emotion because he is just in the mood of going away. Sita is exactly how Ram is. Sita is more emotional, but she is mentally prepared. Seeing all this, Sumantra's heart breaks and he starts chastising, although it is not his position to chastise Kaikeyi, who is the queen. But because he was a very long-standing senior member, he chastises Kaikeyi. And he starts telling that, Kaikeyi, you are not just a fallen person, but you are now the murderer of your own husband. And you are going to be the murderer of the entire Raghukul race. There is not a single person in Ayodhya who does not love Lord Ram. So forget about anything else. You will be the queen probably here. Bharat may be the king. But me, I am going to go in the forest with Ram, and I promise you, Dashrath will soon follow. And nobody else will stay in this kingdom. And when Bharat comes to know what you have done, he probably also will forsake you. Your act of violence and envy cannot reap any good benefit. And Sumantra gives an example. Just like a neem tree which is bitter in nature. नीम का जो झाड़ होता है कड़वा, उसमें उसका कितना भी दूध पिलाओ. Even if you nourish that neem tree with lot of milk and sweet milk, still it will, the only juice it will give is bitter. Why? Because that is the nature. So if with whatever you have done all this throughout your life, this one act of envy and violence, no matter what you do and you put Bharat as the king and then you rule the kingdom nicely, it will not give you a moment of peace or happiness because of what you have done. So Dashrath does not know what to speak. He has already spoken enough to Kaikeyi. Dashrath immediately tells his minister that all the treasury should follow Lord Ram. And he calls for all the shopkeepers. He tells all the shopkeepers you should carry whatever grains and stock you have to the forest wherever Lord Ram is going. The cloth merchant should carry all the clothes there. Everybody, whatever you have, just carry so that Ram is not alone. Everybody should follow him. And he says, me myself, I am also following. So he tells his servants, prepare my entire army and my treasury, everything. So hearing this, Kaikeyi is a little bit disturbed. She is thinking, Kaikeyi at this point of time is also, she is not even thinking that, look how much people are loving Lord Ram, that everybody is talking of him. She, in front of everyone, 350 queens and Kaushalya and Ram and Sita and Sumantra, Vashishta is also present there. And so many other maids, very shamelessly, as Valmiki Ramayan explains, this lady had lost all shame because of her enemy. In front of everyone she says, what is the use of such a kingdom without wealth and people? What use of such a kingdom for Bharat? So I don't want such a kingdom. So Dashrath actually falls down and he tells Kaikeyi, why are you punishing us so much? First of all, you have put such a big burden on me. What is the burden? The burden of me having to forsake my own son. And on top of that, now you are not wanting me to help him. So first of all, you have put a burden on me and now you are also lashing with again and again by such statements. How much more will you be cruel? How much more will you torture him? And he says, if you wanted this, you should have defined well in advance when you asked for those two boons. You asked for Bharat to be the king and you asked for Ram to go to the forest. So I am willing to let go of Ayodhya. Let Bharat rule. There was no talk about the treasury and the department and the people. We all are just living this place. So Kaikeyi says, no, this is not fair. And somehow, Dashrath, actually it was not even a very logical argument, what Dashrath also presented. In a way it was logical, but in a way it was not logical. How can you have a kingdom without wealth and without people? कोई मतलब ही नहीं बनता. Like you are king of a desert. क्या मतलब है उसका? कोई आदमी नहीं तो राजा का, प्रजा के बिना राजा का मतलब ही नहीं. So everybody starts shouting shame on Kaikeyi. But Kaikeyi was undisturbed. Ram sees this, Ram is undisturbed. Ram just tells the servants of Dashrath, he says, please bring the bark so that I can put on. Shamelessly, the servants did not actually go to take the bark. It was Kaikeyi who rushed for the bark of the tree and with her own hand she brought it to Ram and told, without haste put this on soon, so that all this commotion which is happening will end. So look at the shamelessness of a person, how much shameless he can become. Once a person becomes envious or he has certain thing in his mind, I want this or I want to prove this particular thing, he becomes so blinded कि उसको कुछ नहीं दिखा. ये देख करके Kaikeyi with her own hand she gave the bark to Ram and Lakshman, and she gave the bark also to Mother Sita. Seeing this, Vashishta could not tolerate. Vashishta got angry and she said, Sita will not go to the forest. It is my order. Actually what was happening was, each one was giving their view, but they knew that मेरी बात चलेगी नहीं. सुमंत्रा ने कुछ बोल दिया, वशिष्ठ ने भी कुछ बोल दिया. So it was like helplessly they were speaking something. फ्रस्ट्रेशन निकालने की कोशिश, मतलब लेकिन पता है कि कुछ नहीं चलने वाला है, यही चलने वाला. So Kaikeyi is undisturbed. Now Vashishta, being such a great person, he could actually curse anybody and everything could be finished. But he also looked at his helplessness. He says Sita will not go to the forest, and instead in the place of Lord Ram, Sita will rule the kingdom. But after saying this, he has a feeling that this may not really work. So he says, if you still insist, what does that mean? That he is still not convinced of his decision. If you still insist. If you still insist, I am telling you, Bharat will still not rule the kingdom and he will forsake you. Even the snakes and beasts, the worst of the animals, the worst of the species which are there in Ayodhya, they will also leave you because you are taking the worst and the worst of all decisions. So Dasharath begs to Kaikeyi finally, saying that Sita does not deserve this, neither does Kaushalya. Sita has never spoken a word of disrespect towards you. Kaushalya has never spoken a word of disrespect to you. And Dasharath, in front of everyone, he starts crying. He says, I have humiliated Kaushalya. Although she was the senior most queen, I have never given enough time. Although she was most chaste, most virtuous, I was just infatuated by your beauty. I never gave any time to him, even to her. And in spite of you and your servants mistreating Kaushalya, she never spoke a word, an ill word against you all this year. And this poor person has to suffer now. And he falls again, unconscious, for almost an hour, as Ramayan explains. Indeed, all the pain was because only of one person, that was Kaikeyi. So we see that although there were so many righteous people together, one poisonous mind affected so many righteous people and such great wisdom of so many people. That is the power of negativity we were discussing yesterday. Even in Mahabharata we see that there was one person who was greedy for the kingdom. That was Duryodhana. Because of that one person and 2 or 3 accompaniments, how many people suffered? How many people died? Just for 2 or 3 people. In this planet Earth especially, and in Kali Yuga, the power of negativity is very strong. Negativity is shallow, in a way, खोखला, अंदर कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन वो उसका जो ताकत बहुत ज्यादा है. It has no substance, but it has a great impact. Impact without substance. And righteousness and truthfulness has lot of substance, but in Kali Yuga it has no impact. And this all we see since Ramayan Mahabharata. So many righteousness. One dirty mind can spoil the entire assembly, entire city of Ayodhya in this church. One time His Holiness JagannathPriya Maharaj was speaking to devotees, and some devotees were asking about how to preach or something like that. So he should always be careful that even if there is a community of hundreds of people, say you have 400 devotees, but if one or two devotees are not in a proper state of mind, the entire community will collapse. This is the art of running a congregation. Being watchful and careful of those types of consciousness of those kind of things. So it was figure of 400, but here we see entire Ayodhya, and there we see 1 billion people killed in Mahabharata because of 2 or 3 minds. What an impact. Kaushalya speaks to Sita. He says, my dear Sita, although as a husband, Ram, when he married you, it is the duty of the husband to take care of the wife very nicely. But now Ram is taking you to the forest. When you married, you are going to be kind of the queen of Ayodhya at some point of time. So don't be disappointed that your husband could not do something good for you. And please don't blame Ram for anything. He should remain your worshipable deity, no matter what happens. And Sita, she just smiled at Kaushalya, because she already had that kind of feeling. It was like a statement spoken out of formality by Kaushalya. Sita said, yes, my father has very well educated me in the duties of a wife. And I am very pleased to hear this. This is what I was actually telling to Ram. He was not listening to me earlier. And I am convinced that I will take care of Ram very nicely. So just like a veena without a cord is of no use, just like a chariot without wheel has no use, similarly, what would be my use without Lord Ram? And therefore, whatever you have said, I will follow it so. And she is happy. Her joy is being with Ram. It is explained Ram, Lakshman and Sita, they do pradakshina to Dashrath. Ram offers pradakshina to his mother Kaushalya. Seeing this, Lakshman realizes, oh, I should also pay obeisances to my mother. Because Lakshman was only in the mood of Ram. So suddenly he said, oh yes, I should also take blessings from him. So Lakshman does pradakshina Sumitra. And Sumitra immediately tells Lakshman, my dear Lakshman, don't forget why you are going to the forest. You are going to serve Lord Ram. So don't neglect that service even for a moment. And look out for opportunities where there could be some kind of discomfort to Ram. Proactively. Don't let Ram tell you something. There should not be a moment where Ram or Sita have to tell you something. That should be the attentiveness with which you will do something. So Lakshman seeks the blessings of the mother. My dear mother, unless your blessings are there, how can I be empowered for such a service? So you please bless me. Sumitra blesses Lakshman. And it is explained that all the three, they then proceed to mount the chariot which was supposed to be driven by Sumitra. Sumitra is very sad. When he ties the horses on the chariot, his hands were not actually tying them properly. There was no strength. कि मैं ऐसे कैसे ये रथ बनाऊं जो राम को लेकर जाने वाला है. It is explained the horses did not even have their heads up. Their heads were in the ground. The horses also appear very sad. So all the three, they mount the chariot and Sumitra starts driving. Immediately, at that point, all those Ayodhya-vasis who had gathered, they all start screaming at the same time, slowly, please drive slowly, we want to see Ram, we want to see Lakshman, please drive slowly. And Ram, he tells to Sumitra, drive fast. And Sumitra drives faster. The moment the chariot takes some speed, Achanak Dashrath, he realizes my son will be gone for 14 years, never to be seen for 14 years. So Dashrath immediately he starts running after the chariot and he falls down. He starts crying, he starts shouting, Sumantra, go slow, go slow. I want to see Ram, I want to see Ram, and he falls down. And he starts crying. Kaushalya runs after the chariot. She says, please, Ram, Lakshman, Sita, please. Please, oh my dear Ram, look at me, please drive slow. Sumantra, please drive slow. Ram does not look behind. Ram just says, Sumantra, drive fast, proceed very fast. All the Ayodhya-vasis are screaming, drive slow, please, we want to see us. Everybody is running. It is explained. The entire household, the father along with the children, along with whatever stock they had, with their cars, with whatever clothes, whatever they could gather in that small amount of time, the cows, the calves, the horses, the bullocks, everyone was actually following Lord Ram. And Lord Ram did not wait. Lord Ram told Sumantra, drive fast. Here Dashrath has fallen on the ground and he is crying. Mother Kaushalya is screaming to wait. Ram is instructing, drive fast. They are telling, drive slow. Sumantra is feeling that whose decision should I follow? If I don't follow Ram's decision, I will be held responsible for my service till Ram goes to the Dandakaranya forest, which is going to be a couple of days. And if I follow Ram's instruction, eventually I have to come back to Ayodhya. Everybody is going to criticize me. कि चाहते वक्त तुमने क्या किया, हमारा दिल जोड़ दिया. अक्रूर की जैसी दुविधा हो गई. When Akrur came to take Krishna, the gopis were begging Akrur not to take the chariot, and Krishna just drove the chariot. Krishna made Akrur just drive. So Ram realized that Sumantra is confused. He is already driving fast, but he is driving with a great sense of discomfort. So Ram tells Sumantra, when you go back, just tell Dashrath that you could not hear anything. Just tell that because of the screaming of the horses and the chariots, you could not hear anything. So that was the concern of Ram even at that point of time. Trying to see that, oh, Sumantra, he is trying to give a solution to Sumantra. And he believed him because now Sumantra will not have. Today Raghukur में कोई झूठ नहीं बोलता, तो सुमंत्र को झूठ बोलने की अभी जरूरत नहीं है खुद से, क्योंकि ये आज्ञा नहीं है राम से कि आप ये बोल दें. और फिर it is explained that Dashrath fell down like a huge tree which is just simply cut in one stroke. What would be the thumping sound? And all those queens who saw that they could not bear, and they started screaming loudly. And it is explained all the ornaments of the 300 queens, they all started, सब आवाज आता है, सब चूड़ियों का और गहनों का आवाज आने लग गया. And that sound which came was not the sound of celebration, but you know when somebody falls and you have worn so many garments, जो भी आवाज आएगा, that sound was the sound of negativity and distress. And that filled that entire year. It is explained what is the effect of Ram's departure. The elephants in the kingdom, they stopped eating. The cows would not give milk to their own calves. The mothers who had small babies, they even neglected the babies. The babies were no longer demanding the attention of the mother as they were. That was the distress, the vibration which impacted. The brothers, the parents, the children, the couples, all of them lost interest for each other. The parents had no longer so much interest for children. Children had no longer interest with the parents. The husbands and wives no longer had interest amongst each other. And all of them would see each other as useless. So Dashrath actually later, he is still there. So, what happens when Ram is going, all those people who could still follow, it is explained that hundreds and hundreds of people who could not bear that distress, they all fell unconscious on the ground. And it appeared as if hundreds of people are dead. Meanwhile, some could accompany Lord Ram. And Ram kept telling to all that all of you don't worry. Bharat is a very virtuous person, he is a very righteous person, and he will take care of you very, very nicely. I have great faith in his qualities and his great character. So, all of you, please go back with that security that Bharat will be a good king. And please don't hold Dasharath responsible for this entire catastrophe. He is simply bound by his own vows. And remember that it is not the choice and the joy of Dasharath to have me go. It is just that he is so virtuous that he is taking upon himself. वो अपने आप के ऊपर इतना बड़ा दुख सहन कर रहे हैं मेरे जाने का वियोग. तो वो आप ध्यान में रख करके आप जाइए. दशरथ को दोषी मत ठहराइए. So Ram tries to convince so many citizens, but they would not get convinced. So at one particular place, Ram stops the chariot. Sita, Ram, Lakshman, they get down. And Ram starts talking to all the people while walking along with them. And they reach at a particular place which is known as the Samasa river. And at that particular spot, they decide to rest for the night. Meanwhile, here what happened was, after Dasharath fell, Kaushalya immediately came to pick up Dasharath. And on the other side, Kaikeyi thought that she should also offer some support as a courtesy. So Kaikeyi at that point suddenly came on the left side of Dasharath to offer her hand. She put her hand on the shoulders of Dasharath and tried to pick him up. So Dasharath, he actually took help of Kaikeyi, and when he suddenly saw that this is Kaikeyi, he immediately took off her support. And he told that from this moment on, I disown you as my wedded wife. I have no relation with you or your son, and don't show me your face ever again in my life. My relationship with you is over. I have done my duty for fulfilling my vows towards you, and our relationship is over. And he tells Kaushalya that I have done so much injustice to you, and both of them go in Kaushalya's quarters and they discuss for the night. Kaushalya is very much worried. She starts thinking. Along with Kaushalya there is Sumitra also. So Sumitra, Kaushalya and Dasharath are talking that what will Ram and Sita do? They have just got recently married 12 years ago. They have not yet enough experience of even the worldly wisdom. So how will they grow? उनका growth क्या होगा? Even after 14 years, when they come back, what will they do? They will be totally invalid. They have not developed any sense of worldly wisdom as yet. So Sumitra glorifies the qualities of Ram. And she tells all the great things that reminds, trying to put some faith that आप दुखी मत हो. Remember what Vashishta has said about Ram. Remember all the prophecy about when the birth of Ram took place. So he is endowed with great qualities. You don't need to worry about Ram. When he comes, in spite of Bharat being the ruler, the moment Ram comes back to Ayodhya, every person will embrace him as if he had never left. Because there is no person in Ayodhya who Ram is not dear. And Ram is the most dear to everyone in Ayodhya. So that consoles Sumitra. Meanwhile, here Ram and Sumantra say that we should now take rest here on the banks of the Samasa river. So all the citizens there at one particular place, and Ram, Lakshman, Sita and Sumantra, they decide to take rest at a particular place. So Lakshman makes a bed of leaves, the first bed of leaves. Literally no pillow. The hand is the pillow, or the stone is the pillow. Mother Sita is really confused seeing all this. Actually, when Mother Sita was given the bark to wear, Valmiki Ramayan explains that when Sita was trying to put the bark, she could not put it properly. क्योंकि एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, और वो देख करके लोगों को बहुत दुख हुआ कि ये इतनी महान रानी जनक की पुत्री वो आज एक जंगली वेश डालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं और उसको समझ में नहीं आ रहा. एंड शी एक्चुअली इंडिकेटेड टू राम because she saw that Ram had put his tree bark very nicely. And Sita saw that, oh, my Ram looks nice in this. So she told Ram, please help me put my tree bark. And Ram actually helped Sita to tie her tree bark around her body. So everything was new. Now suddenly she sees this red. So it is explained that at every moment she had this thought, oh, now I have to sleep here. But this thought was never there in the mind of Lakshmana or Ram. For Lakshmana it was never there because it is explained Lakshmana never slept for all the 14 years. He was just awake. He only would prepare the best for Ram and Sita. And while they were asleep, he would take care. So Ram and Sita slept for the night. Lakshmana and Sumatra were talking throughout the night. They also rested, but their resting was sitting. Just before dawn, Ram woke up along with Mother Sita, and Ram told Sumatra that all these citizens are so convinced that they want to be with me, and this is not a good sign. The fact is, if they come in the forest, Ayodhya will be bereft of so many things because the entire village has come now, most of them. जो वहाँ पर है वो तो मरे हुए जैसे हैं, बूढ़े लोग नहीं आ पाए, बाकी जवान लोग आ गए, हाथी घोड़ा गाय बछड़े सब लेकर के. This is not good for us, and if I tell them not to come, if I directly say them, these people will actually die. So I cannot do that. So you immediately prepare the chariot and drive, and Ram explains किस तरह से कौन से डायरेक्शन से कैसे लेके जाना है. तो राम बताते हैं इस तरह से चैरियट लेके जाओ कि लोगों को लगे कि हम वापस अयोध्या चले गए, because people are going to follow the scent of the chariot. तो ये डायरेक्शन से ऐसे लेके जाना, फिर नॉर्थवर्ड लेके जाओ, फिर वहां से यू टर्न मार के फिर मुझे यहाँ से वहां चले जाओ. तो पूरा राम एक्सप्लेन करके सुमंत्र से ओके. So before everybody wakes up, Sita, Ram and Lakshman, they mount the chariot and Sumantra drives the chariot away. After a while, the citizens wake up at the dawn and they see that Sita, Ram and Lakshman are gone. So suddenly there are a lot of shouts and screams and tears and crying in whole assembly of all the citizens who followed. One person said, let us all commit suicide here itself. Another said, is there enough firewood कि हम सबका एक चिता बनाने के लिए आग लगाते हम सब मर जाते. ऐसा सब चर्चा होने लगती. फिर एक बोलता, अरे वो देखो मैंने देखा, अभी देखो चैरियट यहाँ से निकला और वो इस डायरेक्शन में चले गए, और जाते जाते देखा कि वो तो आधे रास्ते अयोध्या की तरफ ही जा रहे हैं. And somebody said, we are going towards Ayodhya. Do you think that they have gone towards Ayodhya? Others said, no, it's not possible. Because Ram said that he is going out of the kingdom. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता है कि वो ये सोचे कि नहीं मुझे जंगल नहीं होगा तो मैं वापस चला जाता हूँ, माफी मांग लूंगा, कुछ तो करूंगा. तो सबको ये समझ में आता है कि राम चले गए एक्चुअली. And many people try to find what was the actual movement of the chariot and the footprints of the horses. None of them could locate anything. The direction where the chariot went was only showing the direction of Ayodhya. So everybody thought maybe it is the desire of Lord Ram, and so everybody proceeds back to Ayodhya. So Sumantra crosses the Vedasruti river, through the Vedasruti river, through the Gomati river and the Shyamdika rivers, and eventually they reach the bank of Ganga. And there they are received by one great devotee who was the king of the Nishad race. This great devotee had already known that Ram is going to come, and the name of this devotee was Guha. So tomorrow we'll hear the pastimes of Guha's meeting with Lord Ram and how he received an extraordinary exchange of devotional activities. Now ends the higher part and now begins the devotion part of various devotees interacting with Lord Ram. Sri Ramchandra Bhagwan ki. Any questions or comments? Ram did not take any offense to Kaikeyi ever. Offense from her. She suffered her entire life, and history will never forgive Kaikeyi. As long as the sun and the moon exist, Kaikeyi will be known as a person who took a very wicked step. So history will never forgive. Ram did not take an offense. Individually on part of Kaikeyi, she suffered. Immediately after all this, when all the citizens came back to Ayodhya, everybody hated Kaikeyi. The moment they would see Kaikeyi, they would start speaking things about her. खुलेआम, मतलब कोई उसको रिस्पेक्ट नहीं देता, ऐसी हालत हो गई कि कोई किसी को कोई मान या मर्यादा ही नहीं रहा उसके प्रति. So she suffered. She gained the kingdom, लेकिन kingdom किस लिए चाहिए होता है कि मुझे मान मिले, मुझे प्रेम मिले, तो वो तो नहीं मिला, सिर्फ राज नहीं गया. तो प्रेम ही नहीं और मान नहीं तो राज का क्या फायदा. तो she just suffered her entire life. Guilt all the way. It's very sad. Such a virtuous lady, such a noble lady, always so nice. She would prefer, she had more faith in Ram than Bharat. She trusted her own son lesser than Ram. But just one association of a poisonous mind, everything lost for good. You cannot undo that situation. The problem of such kind of thing is it cannot be undone. फिर वो तो मृत्यु के साथ ही अनडन हो सकता है कि आपको नया शरीर दे ताकि लोग आपको पहचाने कि भाई इसने किया था ऐसा लास्ट लाइफ. जैसे हमारे साथ हमने बहुत कुकर्म किए होंगे, लेकिन हमको लोग जानते नहीं है कि ये लाइफ टाइम में हम तिलक पहन के अच्छी तरह से है. तो कभी कभी वो कुकर्म का फल जब मिलता है हमको लगता है मेरे साथ क्यों ऐसा हो रहा है, लेकिन किसी को दिख नहीं रहा है. तो भगवान की कृपा है, अगर दिख गया सबको तो लोग आपको प्रेम से सिंपैथी नहीं करेंगे. अभी तो कम से कम सिंपैथी करते रहे, कितना अच्छा डिवोटी है, कुछ कभी लाइफ में कुछ नहीं किया, बेचारा कितना दुख हुआ है. लेकिन अगर एक्चुअली दिख गया तो ऐसा लगा अरे ये तो वो पापी सा तिलक करके बैठा है. देखो हाउ लॉर्ड अरेंजेस. डेथ इज नॉट ऑलवेज अ बैड थिंग. Krishna arranges a different body to give a different opportunity. Because people will see you as a sinner and a dongi who has come with tilak and kantivan. So Krishna takes that by changing your body. And he says, you get the reaction, that's all right. But you will enjoy the sympathy and the care and affection of people. So Kaikeyi lost everything and it cannot be undone. So much so that in such cases, that same person, if he is born next life, that same person will read Ramayan and criticize herself. आपने जो गलत काम किया, प्रकृति क्या करता है, आप ही को आप ही के अगेंस्ट अगले जन्म में डाल देता है. आपने जो किंगडम खड़ा किया है पाप की वजह से, फिर आप ही को उस किंगडम को नष्ट करने के लिए आप ही को बना दिया जाता है. एंड यू विथ योर ओन हैंड विल अनडू दैट वर्क. खुद ही को साफ करना है अपना पाप, लेकिन आपको पता नहीं यू आर डूइंग दैट थिंग. दैट इज द वे हाउ प्रकृति वर्क्स. Which is suffered. Of course, in a way that in one sense that they are eternal associates, but the pastimes are of Maryada. It shows that you suffer. It's too much of a suffering. 14 years living in humiliation, being recognized as a cruel, and there was not a single person except Manthara who had some sympathy. And the only reason Manthara had sympathy in the suffering times of Kaikeyi was she also had no one else. दो लोग मिलके जब लफड़ा करते हैं तो वो दोनों का साथ, अगर उन दोनों ने एक दूसरे का साथ छोड़ दिया तो फिर कौन साथ है, कि कोई और साथी मिलने वाला नहीं है. तो 5 का साथ चल भी नहीं पाता है, वो साथ निभाना भी मुश्किल, छोड़ दिया तो कहीं का नहीं आता। एक्सट्रीमली कॉम्प्लेक्स सिचुएशन। Such alliances, mantra and Kaikeyi suffered. When Kaikeyi would see mantra, she would just criticize herself and also mantra. What a wicked lady you are. And even I am a greater wicked lady that when I tell you this, yes, yeah, of course, Ram also sympathized. Ram sympathized with Kaikeyi. That is his extraordinary capacity. Beyond the capacity of any human being. हम में से किसी के साथ होगा तो हम भूल ही नहीं पाएंगे, बहुत मुश्किल है। Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram, Sitaram Lakshman Jaya Hanuman, Sitaram, Sitaram Lakshman Jaya Hanuman, Sitaram Lakshman Jaya Hanuman, Pati Raghav Raja Pati Kapavana Sitaram, भगवान की भगवान की